Welcome back to the program. To the people that live in Los Angeles, if you don't vote for Spencer Pratt, you might as well put a gun barrel in your mouths, okay? Because the city and California and the whole state is just going to go to hell in a handbasket, okay? You have the most insane people running that state. You have this gruesome Newsom. You have this horrific governor who, quite frankly, is the Ted Bundy of politicians. I've said that before. And when I tell you what has just been discovered, you're going to think that this is like a fake news story. Like this must be, the Onion or, one of these Babylon Bee type of things. Nope. It's absolutely 100% true. It is sickening, and it goes to show you exactly what California is all about, and it's just breathtaking. Under Gavin Gruesome Newsom, California has sought to transform its massive prison system into a Nordic-style rehabilitation program. Newsom has placed a moratorium on all executions. Doesn't matter how many people you killed, doesn't matter if you hacked them up and put them in a suitcase and mailed them to your friends. It doesn't matter what you did. It doesn't matter if you killed a police officer. It doesn't matter if you are a serial killer. To Gavin Newsom, somehow you have restorative justice. So sick. Newsom has placed a moratorium on all executions, transferred condemned prisoners to facilities across the state, dismantled San Quentin's state prison's death row, and turned the notorious prison into a therapeutic center with art, classrooms, a cafe, and a podcast studio. How insane is what I just read? As part of this transformation, the gruesome Newsom administration approved a $189 million contract to provide digital tablets, iPads, basically, generic flat screen devices in a plastic shell to every single inmate in the state prison system at no cost to the offenders. So who paid for it? You did, California. The administration heralded the effort to replace inmates' old tablets. Why they have new tablets? Why do they even have old tablets? They're supposed to be on death row. They're supposed to be punished for killing people. But in California, kill as many people as you want. We'll give you fucking iPads. So then, at no cost to the offenders, the administration heralded the effort to replace inmates and their old tablets, which were piloted in 2018 and given nearly all prisoners by 2023 as a, quote, step toward digital equity. Wow. So someone kills and rapes women, cuts their heads off, collects their scalps, but hey, it's digital equity. And you can't have an old iPad. God forbid you have an older version. No, we've got to give you a brand new one at taxpayer expense. This is sick. Then it says, a step toward digital equity for justice-impacted individuals. Listen to how fucking crazy the speech is. Unhoused individuals. No, they're homeless. Substance using fellows. No, they're drug addicts. Unbelievable. Justice impacted individuals. How about don't fuck up, don't break the law, and you won't be impacted by the judicial system, dipshits. I'm so tired of this stuff. Who could, in theory, use the device to contact their families, consume potential educational content, and who knows, maybe even learn a few things, right? Maybe that's what it was all about. Yeah, let's give these mass murdering dickheads iPads, right? Yeah, there you go. No, we won't even put controls on it. No, absolutely not. No, you can look up anything you want, including pornography, child pornography, rape videos, murder videos. That's right, we're getting there. In reality, taxpayer-funded tablets have also been used for more lurid endeavors. In this exclusive City Journal investigation, we contacted dozens of death row inmates themselves who told us that each one of the prisoners in the state system used these devices to watch pornography. They have explicit sexual conversations. Some prisoners, according to a former high-ranking California corrections official, use the tablet to even groom minors. That's right, going on to chats and, chat rooms with teenagers and young kids and grooming them, all under Gavin Gruesome Newsom's watch. Even encouraged it, the sick fuck. Some prisoners, according to a former high-ranking California official, to regulate explicit content, the inmates told us that users can easily evade detection. When reached for comment, the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, yeah, there's a bullshit title, said the tablets were, quote, tightly controlled education tools. Sure they were. That provided inmates with, quote, access to the Bible. Yeah, right. Sure, we're going to believe that. Education and reentry resources that actually reduce crime. Sure they do. But inmates, well, you go and you talk to the direct inmates, right? You're not going to hear it from anyone else but the inmates themselves. But inmates tell you a different story. For some, the devices have become personal sex machines. In the words of one inmate, California's death row is populated with desperately horny criminals who see the tablets as a way to satisfy their basest fantasies and desires, all thanks to you, the wonderful, the giving California taxpayer. In the 1980s, a rapist and serial murderer by the name of Robert Morey earned the nickname the Tipster Killer for calling in anonymous tips identifying the locations of the dead bodies that he left behind. During this period, he killed a woman by strangling her with a nylon clothesline, strangled and killed another woman, and then brutally raped and killed a fourth woman before he was finally caught by authorities. Now, Morey is living at a state prison facility in Stockton, California, where he has viewed pornography on his taxpayer-funded digital iPad tablet. In an interview, Morey told us inmates can, quote, receive nude pictures and watch pornography through their devices. In his case, he claimed to have received a topless photo from a 22-year-old German psychology student who was, quote, hoping that I would share my story with her for her class project. After the student sent the photo, Morey said he, quote, flirted with her for a little while. Morey then said another way that inmates can watch pornography is through the video chat application. In this scheme, he explained, an inmate can call someone on the outside. That person can then put porn on their TV, and the inmate can watch with them. Morey specified that he has never explicitly asked anyone to broadcast. Sure, he hasn't. Pornography in this manner, but when it happens, he says it's just cool, and he says thank you. Samuel Amador, another serial killer who was sentenced to death, had a similar experience. He said that inmates watch pornographic videos and have sexually explicit conversations through their tablets. The videos, he said, are delivered in 30-second clips. Amador has created a rotation on his tablet between explicit and wholesome content. I watch porn and short clips of my family at the beach. Sometimes guards catch lewd messages, Amador said, but in general the restrictions are easy to evade. They try to prevent us, he said, about sexting, but we get around that bullshit. Jamar Tucker, a Capitol inmate at High Desert State Prison who has killed 3 men, noted that the system's loopholes are easy to exploit. He indicated that while the rules prohibit inmates from receiving nude photos, he has received videos of women, quote, dancing in a thong. He uses racy photos, he says, for his own sexual gratification and pleasure. The potential for abuse is obvious. The Newsom administration has made the tablet program universal, with no access restrictions based on any offenses. So in other words, they're giving them these iPads. They're connected to the internet. They can download anything they want. They can get porn. They can get pornography. They can get child pornography. They can get rape videos. They can get huff videos. They can get snuff videos. Doesn't matter what it is because there's literally no restrictions on it. And you're fucking paying for it in California. This is how insane your state is. This is how insane your governor is. This is how insane the people are in the state of California. I say this all the time. The only thing that's going to fix it is a 9.8 on the Richter scale in the middle of Haight-Ashbury. So let's see. And inmates, including child predators, can communicate with members of the public through their tablets, apparently with no age restrictions either, at a cost of 5 cents per text message or 16 cents per minute of video. In a recent case, Nathaniel Ray Diaz, who was convicted of committing sex crimes against a 12-year-old girl, used a prison-issued iPad to contact and exploit her from inside the prison, Avenel State Prison. Diaz allegedly told the girl to send him sexually explicit images, which he then received through a co-conspirator. The girl reportedly told investigators that Diaz forced her to speak with him through the tablet for, quote, hours every day, from the time she came home from school until the prison phones turned off at midnight. Prosecutors allege that in total, Diaz made thousands of calls to this girl, violating a no-contact order and by soliciting explicit photographs and exploiting a minor, committing additional child sex crimes. The Eastern District of California's Attorney's Office told us that Diaz is in custody awaiting trial. But I'm sure he's jerking off on his iPad while he's waiting for his sentence. Douglas Eckenrod, former Deputy Director of California's Adult Parole Operations, indicated that the Diaz case is only the tip of the iceberg. He was in the room as the state discussed expanding the tablet program after an initial test run, and he had raised concerns about pornography, grooming, and other abuses. These were apparently completely brushed aside by the California state legislature and, of course, the prison system. Now he says there is no way to monitor the nearly 90,000 inmates in the state prison system who have access to taxpayer-funded devices. I would bet my pension, he says, that there are a vast amount of child pornography on these tablets right now as we sit here, said the former official. There are probably several thousand children that are currently being groomed right now as we sit here, he said. What is California doing to stop this abuse? Nothing. Last month, state officials attempted to tighten restrictions on prison tablets, formally banning obscene text messages, sexually explicit images, and sexual behavior on video calls. But death row inmates were interviewed, and they said that the prisoners could easily bypass those restrictions. Maury, the serial killer, indicated that prisoners, especially younger men who grew up with the internet, have found ways to continue viewing pornography and sending sexually explicit messages to the outside. If you try hard enough, he said, there is always a way around the system. How about taking the damn things away from these scumbags, locking them in a hole so they never ever see sunlight ever again, beat them until an inch of their lives, cut their dicks off if they're rapists, or just put them all to death? Why are we housing these people? If there's DNA evidence, you're dead. No appeal, no nothing, it's over. That's how the prison system should be. Meanwhile, despite the obvious risks, Governor Newsom is moving full speed ahead with his initiative to, quote, reimagine our prison system. Yes, reimagine murderers and rapists and people that decapitate people's heads all jerking off to your iPads. Yes, let's reimagine the prison system. Sick bastard. Along with his initiative to turn San Quentin into the nation's most innovative rehabilitation facility. Rehabilitation? What are you talking about? It's San Quentin. Oh my God. Newsom has offered no indication that he will reverse course on the free tablet program. In fact, the new vendor contract allows for 4 one-year extensions, which could push it to a total cost of $315 million. $189 million of taxpayer dollars certainly wasn't enough. Now we have to go to $315 million. At least one Democrat legislature is demanding that the state make inmates' message messages free of charge. Imagine that. Even a Democrat legislature, this is how insane these people are and why they should never be in any power at all. One of them is demanding that the state make the inmates' tablets and messages free of charge. They want you, and they don't want the prisoners that are at least getting these messages, they don't even want them to have to pay for it. They want you to pay for it. These people are fucking nuts. Eckenrod, who anticipated the dark side of digital equity, which doesn't even make any sense, believes California has opened the floodgates to abuse. We created a pathway for them to reach out and groom folks, he said. There are going to be victims that didn't need to have been victims because of these decisions and because of the asshole Gavin Newsom. So, what can we do? Well, we can certainly get this story out there to as many people as possible. Send it to people in California. Send it to the state legislatures. Send it anywhere that you can think of, any type of conservative organization in the state of California. They need to know about this if they don't know about it. And if enough pressure, you can get things changed. You can get things reversed and returned. Because if we don't do this, New York is next. Chicago, Houston, Portland, I can keep going, Seattle, right? That's Michigan, Detroit, right? That's what's going to happen. One bad idea becomes a cancer and it spreads. So take this video. I'm going to make sure that anyone can watch this one and share it everywhere. God help California. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.